What shall we do with the drunken engine? Ethen and Sir Callum, the Redcliff and Railway's two steam locomotives, enjoy pulling the picnic fly train all around the railway each year, from early April until the end of September. Their train is usually most popular throughout the summer months of June, July and August. Usually, the two steam engines will enjoy the double popularity of their own train during these 3 months, but this year it was very different. For some strange reason, the picnic flyer had far more passengers this year than any other previous year since it started back in 1976. Due to this, Mr. Eric had scheduled many more trains, so all the extra passengers would not avoid disappointment if their train was full. Now this meant keeping the passengers happy, but this meant Ethen and Sir Callum had to work harder than ever before, and now this meant that whenever they had finished one journey... Take it away, Michael Angelis!
It was time for another to begin. Never mind, he puffed. I like a good long run to stretch my wheels.
Okay. Good, Michael Angelis, good. Even so, by the end of the day, the engines felt rather tired from the extra work. One night, they returned home and they both felt really sleepy and tired. Ethen, can you believe how hard we've worked today? No, I can't. My wheels are aching so much and I feel worn right down to pieces. I hope we never have to work that hard ever again. Yes, agreed. I feel like I could sleep for a week. Just then, Mr. Eric arrived to give his two steam engines some very exciting news. Good evening, you two. I see that you are both very tired out from today's work. Yes, we are, Mr. Eric. We both feel like we could sleep for a week, or more even. And that's exactly the reason I have come down to talk to you both. I understand very well that at the moment there is more than enough work for you both on this railway, so I have ordered a brand new steam locomotive from the USA. However, because the USA is such a long way from here, the new steam engine won't be arriving for quite a few months, maybe not even until early next year. So I have arranged for a steam engine to come down from Scotland to work with you both temporarily and on loan from his railway in Scotland. He will then go back home when the new American steam engine arrives. The Scottish engine, on the other hand, will be arriving tomorrow, and I'll start with you both the very next day. Now, how does that sound? Sir Callum and Ethen were both very pleased and grateful with this wonderful news, and promised Mr. Eric to give the Scottish engine a big welcome. The following evening, the two engines were sitting in their sidings when the Scottish engine arrived. He was painted white all over, and his vigorous puffing made him seem grumpy and bad-tempered. Hey there, mates! The name's Jack, and you must both be Sir Callum and Ethen. Why, we are indeed, Sir Callum and Ethen, Jack. I just thought to ask a quick question. Why is this such a small siding? This won't do at all for a big express engine like me. At my home railway, we get big long sheds to protect us from getting battered by the weather. Your controller obviously couldn't afford those. I'm much too smart for this old dump. Hey! I'm just as big as you, and both me and Ethen think our sidings are nice, so I suggested you just get used to it! Yes, it's clear to both of us that you have a lot to learn throughout your time on this railway, Jack. Now then, another question for you both. What's the rubbish over there?
Shh! That's not rubbish! That's David! He's one of the most important locomotives on this railway!
And he whispered to David, I'm sorry about Jack, David. He seems upset and grumpy now, but I'm sure it's just because he is very tired after his long journey to get here. He has come all the way from the Highlands of Scotland, you know, and I'm sure that in the long run he'll turn out to be quite nice and friendly in the end. Dave felt sorry for Sir Callum and Ethen, having to deal with Jack's negative rambling all night long. Even Vitas was a little worried about Jack.
Even I'm not that conceited.
"Now then, Jack," said the fireman next morning. "Wake up, come along, it's time I got you ready for work."
Ugh, I'm tired, mate. Let Ethan or Sir Callum go. They'd love it.
"No, Mr. Eric's orders. You're first." And with that, Jack's fireman took some old newspaper and wood and lit Jack's fire. Afterwards, he checked his cold and water levels, oiled his pistons and other mechanical parts, and then, as soon as Jack's pressure had reached 200 psi, he was ready to go. He moved out to go fetch the coaches. Brian was busy shunting, so he couldn't help him get the coaches, so Jack had to fetch his own, but he was not impressed with them at all.
Ugh, whatever next? These aren't coaches. They're box vans.
Oh! What a horrid engine!
Please, girls, be quiet. This is not what I'm used to.
And with that, Jack pulled out of the rolling stock yard with the coaches and headed towards Redcliff Station. He had to stop in the bypass loop to load supplies so the passengers could be loaded on board, and their supplies. He rolled into the loop just as Dennis arrived. He had just returned from his morning rush hour passenger run and was just pulling into the platform to let his last passengers of the morning off.
Hello there, mate. Who are you?
I'm Dennis. Who are you?
I'm Jack, mate. I'm the new steam engine from Scotland. I have heard all about you. You pull a lot of passenger trains, don't you? So do I, but I'm used to Kirby Express coaches, not these box vans. Do you have Kirby coaches, mate? Oh yes, I see you do. We must have a chat sometime. Sorry I can't stop. I must skip time, you know, mate.
And then Jack's conductor blew his whistle and Jack puffed away, leaving Dennis at a loss for words.
Come along, come along, come along, come along. Box vans, box vans, box vans, box vans. We'll pay 'em out, we'll pay 'em out, we'll pay 'em out, we'll pay 'em out.
Clouds of smoke and steam filled the air as Jack huffed and puffed along the line. Soon they reached Guinea Briggs Junction station to pick up their passengers. Jack had been assigned to take the train up and over the Bexgate flyover, which of course was very steep. This gave the coaches their chance to pay Jack out for being so rude to them. As they started out of the station again, the coaches made their plan. All back! All back! All back! All back! And their couplings tightened as they started to go up the flyover. Jack was struggling to pull the train. His wheels were spinning and he was straining so much he thought the coupling would break. At last he ran out of energy and couldn't pull the train any further. He just ground to a halt and stopped halfway up the hill. Hi! I can't do it, mate. I just can't do it. I'm used to sensible Kirby Express coaches, not these silly bumpy box vans. The fireman went to see the conductor to see what he could do to get them started again. Hey, Elliot, why do you think we stopped? Well, Dan, I think the coaches are up to something. Let's bring the train back down to a level piece of line, grit up the rails with a bit of sand, and then Jack can try again and hopefully he can get us up the hill and over to Redcliff. Sounds good to me. And so it was arranged. Once Jack was brought back down on a level piece of line and the rails were properly gritted up, he started to pull the train again. He made a tremendous effort. The coaches tried to drag him back, but it was no use. before the coaches knew it, they were at the top. "I've done it! I've done it! I've done it!" But the coaches were not happy and they wanted revenge, so they started to push Jack down the other side. He was so surprised he tried to slow them down. He did manage to slow them down just enough to avoid coming off the tracks, but they were still going pretty fast, and the coaches didn't stop pushing him until they reached Redcliff Station. But when they stopped in the platform, the passengers were furious and thought it was all Jack's fault.
Who does this idiot engine think he is? Racing around this railway like that?
Agreed. Is this engine crazy? He could have killed us all. Yes, indeed. As passengers, we do not want to be bounced around like peas in a frying pan. Jack heard all of these comments, and he was furious with the coaches for making him speed down the tracks, and for the rest of the day he was in a very bad mood. He was storming around the railway in a huff, constantly being rude to the passengers, his coaches, and the other engines, and creating a very, very frightening image for himself. When Mr. Egg found out about this, he was furious, and was very severe to Jack in the loco yard that night. "You, Jack, are a troublesome engine. You are rude, conceited, and much too big for your buffers."
Please, sir, it wasn't me. It was those stupid coaches. They were the ones who pushed me.
That's enough, Jack. Those coaches held you back and pushed you because you were being rude to them. None of this would have ever happened if you weren't such a rude engine. And I promise you, Jack, if anything like this ever happens again during your stay on my railway, I will have you sent straight home to your railway in Scotland. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Mr. Erickson.
Jack was very impressed with Mr. Eric's scolding, and behaved unusually well for several days. But will he be able to keep his current standard of behaviour up? Find out next time on Redcliff Railway Tales. Bum 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 bum, train number 16.